Hey guys, Sam again, and this time we're going to continue working on our movie poster campaign project. We should have just finished creating our digital assets, so part A. And next we're going to be working on part B and C together. It's going to be the IMDb video wall, and we are also going to create our Photoshop animation, and then we're going to paste it in here. It probably won't go in as an animation, it'll just show as a standalone asset. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and show you what IMDb is. So let me go ahead and open up a browser. For those of you who are not familiar, let's go to imdb.com. So it's like a movie review page. It occasionally has takeovers all around this area. So right now we could see it has this Cheetos popcorn bags taken over. So usually they have a movie that they're promoting, and it's up to us to add our movie and do the whole video takeover here. So let me collapse this. Yeah, so right now it's this, but usually it's a movie. Every day it changes, and then it blends down into black, and then we have, you know, different movies that they are providing. So again, these are going to be like those digital assets. Somebody created all of this. Somebody created this. So here we see some of the work in action. And what we have here, this trailer, this banner is going to be associated with this. So we're going to do something very similar, a takeover for this. And, you know, these would be files that would, for example, be provided to IMDb once the movie is ready to be released for the promotional campaign. So again, let's go ahead and start with the file that we should have already downloaded. If not, go ahead and download this. It's going to be the IMDb video wall zip file. Unzip it and then go ahead and open up the Photoshop file. So this is provided directly from IMDb. They have their templates. Then you go ahead and open it. It is pretty big. It does have a lot of layers, so it might take a little bit to open, but it will. And there we go. So here is here's some information. Actually, before that, this popped up in my other page. Some of the files associated, or some of the layers associated with it, are part of the cloud. So it just says it cannot locate them. It's okay, we don't need them. Go ahead and click OK or cancel. And then here are some guidelines. So it says, please use layer comps to switch between the different sections of the creative. Do not reposition layers between layer comps. So again, we're not going to be adjusting any of these layers. We're not going to be changing the layer stacking order. If you want to reuse an asset in a different section, then duplicate it instead. All layers that need to be exported should be given a mask and a file extension. .png for images with transparency, JPEG for opaque. So here's where we could sometimes build files within there and export them. That's a little advanced. We're not going to be doing that. It tells us red layers are standardized and the design should not be changed. So again, if it's in red, do not change it. Layer styles that have either color overlays or drop shadows. So any of these that have the effects can be added to change color and accessibility. Blue layers are FPO, so for placement only, and do not need to be modified or exported. So those are just placeholders. And it says locked layers should not be repositioned. So there's a few other guidelines. Let's go ahead and open up our layers panel. And let's close page content, collapse, expand. So we have a lot of things here going on. Let's turn off our guidelines. And here is our main IMDb page. So I'm looking at right now, I have that 970 by 250. I'm not going to use that one. I am going to use this 300 by 250 companion. So that's where I'm going to put in my the GIF that I'm going to make, or my 300 by 250 asset. So let me go ahead and try to find where this 920 by 250 iPad fallback is. Just a little information. It says 1 CTA, so that's a call to action, evergreen date messaging. So evergreen means we're not going to say, oh, in theaters Thursday, July 15 or whatever. Evergreen just means we're going to leave any of that titling off. So we're not going to date it at all. It just one CTA call to action might be click here to view the trailer or something. So that's just a little information about that, but we are not going to be doing this asset. So let's find where it is, and it looks like it is on our 920 by 250. So let me go ahead and expand this page content. Here's our nav bar, so that's all made up. Our body, so it's going to be within our body, and it's going to be this one. So I'm going to turn this one off and leave that one on. I also want to find my movie title. I do not want that one, just so we could see our artwork. So let's see, it is not within page content. So it's in collapse, we have part of it, and intro, we have part of it. So let's just go ahead and turn some of these off. So collapse. This gives us safe zone. So actually within collapse, it's good to know. It says read areas will be covered right here. So we do not want anything important there. And our safe zone ensures that all important elements such as text, videos, logos, characters, faces, buttons fit within this area. So this is our only safe zone. So within this area is where we are going to place our important elements. So our title for sure. And everything else could be over here. If you look at this one, we see the couple that's dancing in the background here. So they're the important ones. So they're going to be within that area, especially their faces. The bodies, not so much. Not all of this is just, you know, background stuff. So let's turn off safe zones. And now that we know that, let's see what else we could turn off here. Actually, we could turn off this whole collapse folder. Don't need that. I'm going to turn off this expand one as well, because I'm only going to be focused on this area. And let's see our intro. So for our intro, actually, let's change it to where this is our safe zone now. So these are going to be different elements, so they just provide one file, and so you could create different ones. So we're going to be working on intro. We're not going to be working with expand or collapse. And we want to leave page content on. So these are going to be placeholders. Okay, so just keep in mind our safe zone is here. And we are going to have a 1920 by 1000 intro video. And this is going to be our reference. So let's go ahead and turn off our safe zone. And technically we could actually build, since it is a 1920 by 100, we could build a 1920 by 100 separately as well and bring it in here, or we could build right into this page. So I think the best way, I'm just going to go ahead and build right into this page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up my main poster from the very beginning, or if you've already built your let's see, let's go to my digital assets. If you already built your 1920 by 1080, that is actually very close to this 1920 by 1000. So you'd actually be able to open up that file and bring it in here, and then maybe just rearrange the elements so that they fit within the safe zone. If you have not, then you could go ahead and start building here. So I did not, based off of, you know, I just wanted to show you how these are done. I did not build these assets. So I'm going to have to build it here. Your best bet is probably to bring in the 1920 by 1080 again into here and then just rearrange assets. So I'm going to open up my my main poster. So I'm going to open up my my PSD. Open this one up. And what I'm going to do is, I think I'm just going to bring everything in. So I'm going to go for my rating, hold shift and click on this bottom one, and I'm gonna bring all of these files over to my IMDb templates and drop them in here. And now I'm gonna do Command or Control T, or actually before that I'm gonna create a folder for it, name this arts, and I want to make sure it is above our video reference here. And I'm going to click Command or Control T, and I'm going to scale it down. So it's going to be very similar to my digital assets, except now I'm working within this space here. So once I scaled it down to 76%, it's going to take a little while to do its thing. Let's see, actually it was already there, so let me make it a little smaller. And I don't have to have the whole poster there, but I do want to have the title, so maybe let's try 35. Let's see what that looks like. My title looks a little bit too big, so let's try 20. And yeah, so maybe I want to do 25 actually, just a little bit bigger. And press return or enter. And now essentially I'm going to do the same thing, build out this space here, build out this space here. And just keep in mind my safe zone. Let me turn on my safe zone. So I want to make sure I stay within this area. So it's pretty much the edge of this here and from the top to bottom here. So I'm going to bring in my title and the guy attached to the title. So on this one, let me go ahead and group my title again, like we did before. Hold shift, and I'm going to group this, name it title. Press return and select this guy as well. And I'm going to bring the title down just a little bit. So have that nice space to work with. I feel like this guy I could, bring down a little bit more just so I could see some of that right there. And let's see. Maybe he's not as important, so I could actually have him here, coming in there. Or it's not as important to have him, in that direct space since we have all this width to work with. I do want to get the plane in there. This looks pretty good there, so let's find the plane. So here, so maybe that one, bring it down, coming in from the side. Something like this. Let me move the title. And maybe the title, I'm going to do Command or Control T and make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to bring it up over this area here. And the plane could go over it just a little bit. And I'm going to bring in this guy on the right and just bring him in a little bit over here. Okay, so now let me actually bring these guys to the right and bring this to the right a little too. Bring these guys here and then select this and bring it over here. I do have that I do have this button here, so I don't want to go over it. That just looks a little funny, right? So I'm gonna make sure to work around that. So something like this, and then it looks like this is driving right over this line. So I think that's a pretty cool composition. And then again, now I'm just simply gonna work on fixing all of this. So let's hold Option on this and start working on the mask here. So I'm gonna erase. Actually, I'm going to show some more of this, so let me bring my opacity up a little bit. And I'm going to use the same white to blend this out, just to get rid of that harsh line. Hold Option, click on that. And then eventually we're going to brush in a little bit more on the sides to show more of that. Let me go ahead and work on my sky, because I want to expand my sky all the way to the left and right. So turn it off. Whoops, off and on. So let me see where I'm at. Sky with clouds. So it's this one. So I want to make a copy of that. Move that one to the right. Actually move it below our original sky. Command T, so I want to go here. And then make another copy of it and put this one below. So I'm just keeping these, let's say, copy underneath my main one. And then I'm going to move that one to the left. And I'm going to put that one in this area here. And then I'm going to add a mask to the top one, and I'm going to go ahead and start brushing the edges over here. So I'm going to use a brush, black brush, 100%, just to get rid of that edge from the very beginning. And then I could always lower it to maybe about 10 to 20%. And just click on it a little just to blend it out. Again, zoom in just so we could see what we're doing as well. Now I see I have this line here, so I want to find out what that is. So that's going to be this shading, so I want to add a layer mask to that as well, and we're going to brush that out. Again, everybody's is going to be a little bit different, so I'm going to make it a high percentage here. So just to blend that out, and let's see if I have some over here as well, so blend that out. Okay, so there's that. Now I want to go ahead and this is where, if you would have already made your 1920 by 1080, you would have already expanded all of this, and it would be a lot easier to just drop this in. But it's also good to, practice. So let me go ahead and select my ground area. So I'm going to make a copy of that, bring it below, and then I'm going to move this across over here. So I'm going to find something to blend into on this side. So maybe something like that. On this one, I'm going to get rid of the tree. So I'm going to select the layer mask mode here. So I'm going to create a layer mask, and I'm going to go ahead and erase all this part of the mountain that is behind this original one, because I do not want that. So I'm going to click on my brush tool with black at 100%, and let me start erasing this part of the mountain. This is about where it's going to blend, so I just need to be careful here when I get to it. And then I'm going to select my main ground, add a layer mask to that, and I'm going to just brush away this tree. And maybe drop my opacity, make my brush a little bigger, and then just start clicking here to mask that. I remember my fire here had this line right here, so it's one of those, not this one, it's going to be this one. So I could use the mask that was already there, and I'm going to get rid of this line, maybe up my opacity to 100%, get rid of that fire there. I'm going to get rid of this fire here as well. And I'll probably add a little bit more to the side or something. But for now, it looks pretty good actually. And so that whole scene looks good. Let's see. I do see a line over here that I want to take care of. So just got to find out where that one is. So it is part of this sky, so I'm gonna click on the mask right there and then just brush that out. Might have some on the right, might not, so as of now it looks pretty good. There is also this one main fire that I didn't like before, so let's find that one. So I believe it's this one, so I'm gonna click on this and tone it down here. So I'm gonna click on my right bracket key to make my brush bigger and make sure I have black with my brush, and I'm gonna knock it down till about 10% roughly and start hiding some of this fire. I do want to bring the title up and this guy up, so I'm gonna find that and find the title and bring them up above the fire. So there we go, they pop up more. However, now my plane is behind this, so it's up to me. I kind of want it above, so I'm going to bring this above. And there we go. Okay, so I feel like the left is pretty good. Now I need to work on the right. So again, let me go ahead and expand the mountains and the floor there. So I'm going to make a copy of my main ground layer. Bring my copy below the main ground layer. Delete this mask. And I want to move this to the right a bit. And let's just find a place where maybe we could blend it. So maybe somewhere along these lines. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to add a mask to it. Click on my brush tool, 100%, because I really want to get rid of this area up here in the mountains. So I'm going to make my brush smaller, brush this away. And now I want to brush this part, so I'm going to go into my main ground layer so I can see where it ends right here. So I'm going to click on its mask and then just brush away here. One thing that I notice is the ground is uneven, so I'm going to have to work on that. So let me go ahead and move this layer because I want to match the green grass right here, the horizon line. So maybe somewhere right there. So now looks like I might have to come in and edit these mountains a little bit. So I'm gonna turn it back on, go into the mask, and I'm gonna click on my brush tool. I'm gonna make it really small now, 100% black, and I'm just gonna follow this mountain that's already there. And I'm gonna fake it in there. And get rid of this over here. Okay, so there we go. And the smaller I make my brush, or the harder that I make it to, I can just make it look a little bit cleaner there, as opposed to having that kind of feathered look. And I could add a little bit of jaggedness here to make it look a little more realistic. And there we go. Now we have this line over here, so let's find what that is. Here it is this shading layer, so I'm going to add a mask and brush away that edge as well. Something like this, and then that was at 100%. Now I'm going to drop it a lot more and then blend it out like that. Okay, so now that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more fire to this right hand side, maybe to this left hand side as well. So I'm going to make a copy of this fire. Select it and then move it to the right. And maybe I will just bring it in from this side of this box. So that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to make a copy of this one, bring it to the left. Whoops. Make sure I grab the right one. Fire copy 3. So it's this one. Now I'm going to do Command T, right click, and then flip it horizontal. And then maybe I'll just scale it up a little, hold shift, so something like that. Press return, and there we go. So let's see, that looks pretty good, pretty centered. You know, we have all of our elements. If we click on our safe zone within our intro folder here, we see all of our important elements are there, our title, any characters, especially faces, and we have our whole scene built out. So let me go ahead and turn this off, actually the safe zone, and I could go ahead and save it. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn off my movie poster. Okay, so now we could simply go ahead and save this. We're supposed to save it as a JPEG, but before we do that, we should build our 300 by 250 companion file here. So we're going to build that separate. So let's go ahead and build that from scratch. So let's go to File, let's go to New, and let's go ahead and change, we'll go ahead and do Photo, because that's going to give us RGB. So we want RGB since this is all digital assets. And let's go ahead and change this to pixels. So now we are going to put that information in here. So it's going to be a 300 by 250. So essentially this is what I did when I provided all those digital assets with the different sizes. And those are usually provided by any company that you're working for. If you do have to create them from scratch, this is how you do it. So it's going to be a 300 by 250. So usually width goes first and then height goes second. So we're going to do 300 width in pixels by height of 250. They will usually tell you what resolution they want it at. So I will always build it at 300 because then you could always change it to 72 without a problem. But if you're going the opposite way, if you start at 72 and then you want to build it at 300, then you're going to lose some quality. So I like to start at 300, so just do that. Make sure it's RGB, and then go ahead and click Create. And I'm going to go ahead and go to File, Save As. So I'm going to go ahead and save it within my digital assets files. So I'm going to go into my links, PSD. I'm going to click on one of these. So I'm going to click on my 300 by 300, or actually 3000 by 3000, just to pick up the name here. And then I'm going to change it to 300 by 250. And make sure it is a PSD file. So I'm going to go ahead and save this within that same area, just so that we know in the future where we have all of our Photoshop files for these digital assets. And again, on this one, I'm going to think of where I could bring in the closest looking one, closest file size. So if I open up my PDF here, if I see I had my 3000 by 3000 is square, and this one is almost square, so I could probably use this file, and maybe some of these things will get trimmed, or I could move things a little bit. So that's going to be my closest one proportionately. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my 3000 by 3000 PSD file. So let me go ahead and open that one. Just to work easier, we could have started again with our actual poster, 11 by 17. However, the proportions would have just taken a lot more work to create. Since we already have something that's similar, we just want to find the easiest route. And let's open up our 3000 by 3000 PSD. Okay, so once that opens, I could actually bring in my 3000 by 3000. I could actually bring in my 3000 by 3000 template layer that I had placed in there from before, drag it into my 300 by 250. And I'm going to do Command or Control T. And I am going to go ahead and scale this down to where it fits best. So I could always scale it down like this and just build out any of the rest here that I have. So I'm going to scale it to where the top and bottom look pretty good. Maybe something like that. If it gets trimmed off a little, it's okay. I'm going to center it so I could tell by my guides right there, my pink guides, that it is centered. If those guides don't come up, I could always go to View, Show, and turn on Smart Guides. So if I have it like this, I could always just build out this extra here, or I could, make it this full size and just move my element. So it's up to you guys. So I'm gonna do like a happy medium here, something like that. Press return, and then I'm gonna check the size that it is. So Command or Control T, and then I'm at 9.03%. Press return, and I'm gonna press 5 to bring down the opacity to 50%. And again, 9.03%. So I'm going to go to my 3000 by 3000, and I'm going to select my art folder and bring that one into my 300 by 250. Bring this below my 3000 by 3000, and now I'm going to do Command or Control T, and I'm going to type in 9.03, and I'm going to place it right here. And somewhere where it's about right. So use my up arrow keys, press return or enter. And so now it is in the correct spot, based off of my 3000 by 3000. So let me click on my 3000 by 3000, bring the opacity up to 100%. So if I press 0, now if I turn this off and on, I can see some things move slightly, but it's okay. The main difference that I see here is the bevel and embossing. So one thing is when I resized it from, when I brought it in, it was 100%, and I brought it down to 9%. So that's almost 100%. That's 90% that I shrank it. However, that effect doesn't shrink that 90%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my art folder. I'm going to find my title. And I'm going to double click on that bevel and emboss, and I'm just going to roughly guess about 90% of the depth and the size here, and I'm going to bring it down. So this is not going to be exact. If I wanted to do some math, I could find exactly what 90 or 10% is, but pretty much for every 100 it's about 5%. So I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to bring this down to, a very low number here. And then I'm going to change the size to maybe 1. And this could probably be 20 maybe. So that seems about right. I'm going to click OK. And now if I turn off and on my 3000 by 3000, it's not exact, but it's pretty close. So that's going to be close enough. And then I could simply just, I have all this is already kind of made, and I just have to fix the right hand side a little. So at this point, I could just select this layer, do Command T, and scale it up just a bit. So that brings that to the right. And I'm going to expand the ground over here a little bit. So I'm going to make a copy of that floor layer, the ground layer. So remember I had made just a little bit here. So I'm going to hold Shift, and actually there's still some more there, so I could brush some more of that out. So I'm going to click on its layer mask, click on the brush tool, so B, and then change the opacity to 100% and swap the color to white. Make my brush small, and I'm going to brush this area to bring this in. So bring this mountain in. There we go. Now that sky, I'm going to find that sky area, this sky, and I'm gonna just select this one, the copy that's beneath the main sky, and I'm just gonna drag it to the right ever so slightly. And there we go. So this file is technically made. So let me go ahead and save it. Actually, I don't like my plane right at the top edge right here, so I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. I'm going to drag it down here. And I feel like that looks a lot better. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to do a save for web. So Command-Shift-Alt-S. And now I'm going to go ahead and save it. And I'm going to put it in the JPEG area here from our links. And into the JPEG folder. And this is our 300 by 250. So go ahead and save it. And now I could go ahead and close out my 3000 by 3000. No longer need it. Go ahead and save my 300 by 250. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in my my 300 by 250 and place it here. So if I close this out, and if I go into, let's see, my page content, open this one, and I believe it's right here. So I could open this up, and I'm going to place it into this. So it's within the body folder and the static RHS. So I'm going to go into my Finder. I'm going to find my JPEG, my 300 by 250, and I'm simply just going to drag it into this IMDB layer, IMDB folder. Press return or enter, and I'm going to drag it, place it right over this, and I'm going to place it inside of this folder right above the static RHS image. Zoom in, and I just want to make sure that none of that blue is showing. So I could press down or up with my right or left or down arrow keys, and there we go. So now I'm gonna zoom out. So now we have basically the trailer for the movie. So we have this icon right here, and we have the whole takeover. So now we could go ahead and save this. So Command or Control S, and let's go ahead and do save for web. So file. Actually, we could just save a regular JPEG here. So we could just do file save as. It's still saving, so we're still at 99%. So that's why it's not letting me resave again. So I'm just going to click OK, wait for it to finish. Okay, so let's actually save this as a JPEG now. So let's go to File, Export, Save for Web. And again, the reason why we do the Save for Web is to save it at a very optimized way that we could have a small file. So let's go ahead and save it as a JPEG. On this one, let's go ahead and do high or very high. Should be okay. And let's go ahead and save it. And let's save it onto our main movie campaign folder. Go ahead and save it. And now we should have, if we go into our folders, we should have our IMDB video wall desktop template JPEG. I had a second one. Don't do what I just did. I was just deleting an extra one I had. So I have this one, so I could always open up this JPEG and test it out. And here's my JPEG for that. So this is going to be one part of what you're going to turn in. So it's going to be the IMDB wall with our 300 by 250. And you're only going to turn in the JPEG for that. One thing that I realized I missed on this was this whole yellow effect and it expanding all the way over here. So I'm actually going to go in here and fix that before I save it again. So I'm going to go into my 1920 by 100 area, and I'm going to click on this layer, and I'm going to select it, and I'm going to click on my brush tool, So if you see anything that you missed, go back and fix it because, you know, if this was going to a client, they would catch that. They would, go over everything and they would say like, hey, this is missing or things like that. So we try to do everything as best as we could from the very beginning. And now we're going to choose black. And I'm going to take this slowly, at least if it's not going to be solidly filling it with this yellow effect. So at least we could blend it out. So I'm going to do like about a 10%. And I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger and just add it over here to the edges just to make it a little more yellow. And now it ties in with the center area. Do a little bit behind this plane here, a little bit on this side, and there. So I feel like that looks a little bit better. And let's go ahead and save it. So Command or Control S. And then we will do, once it's saved, so right now it's at 0%. So wait for it to save. Now once it's saved, then I could do a file, export, save for web. And again, we'll just use it. I'll leave it at JPEG, high 60, save it. And go ahead and save it onto our movie campaign folder. And we're going to replace the one that we just did. And that is that. So now let's go ahead and close this, the IMDb page. That is done. And we are going to use our 300 by 250 to create a our animated GIF. So this is where we move on to part C, which is going to be our Photoshop animation. So we are going to be creating a simple animated GIF using our 300 by 250 digital assets. And we'll create a basic title treatment coming in, or an element from your art moving, or something else appearing. So we're going to go through a basic animation here. Okay, so to start our GIF or our animation here, we're going to go to Window and we're going to open up our timeline. Whoops, I accidentally pressed Tool Presets. So Window, Timeline. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this drop down here. Our timeline shows up at the bottom. Make this a little bit smaller here, or Photoshop. So I'm going to click on this drop down and I'm going to click on Frame Animation. So if you have some sort of video background where you understand keyframes, feel free to do it this way. There's probably a lot more power doing it that way, but the basic way to do a simple GIF, we could always create a frame animation. So we're going to click on Create a Frame Animation. And go ahead and click on it. So that gives us our first frame. So what we're going to think about is our beginning and our end. So right away on mine, I have a plane. So I could think about the plane coming in from the left and exiting on the right hand side. So I have my first frame here. So that one's already set. And if I go into my layers, I can move my plane. And I'm going to move it to the left here. So it's going to be out of the frame. And then I'm going to click right here in my time frame. I'm going to click to create a new frame. So duplicate selected frames. And now on this one, I'm going to move my plane and drag it all the way to the right. And I'm going to take it just past the edge over here. So now my first frame has the plane on the left. My second frame has the plane on the right, and I could always check this out by going to my layers. It's going to be a bit, yeah, it's going to be impossible to see because it's out of the frame. So yeah, we cannot see the difference. However, now that we have these, if I select both of these, so click on the first one, hold Shift, select the second one. So after I select these, I click on Tween, which is this icon right here. It's a bunch of little circles and it goes kind of from transparent to dark. Click on that. So now I get this tween dialog box. So I'm going to tween with the selection. I'm going to add a certain amount of frames in between both of these. So I'm going to go ahead and add 10 of them. and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So now if I go ahead and press play, my plane goes across. So what it technically did was it added frames to make it go based off of my movement. So from my starting point to my ending point, so my first one, the plane is out of the frame, it's on the left hand side like I had set it. The next one, it comes in a little. So these are the 10 frames that it added before my last one, which has a plane on the right hand side. So now if I hold shift and select on all of them and I click on this drop down right here where it has a 0, it says how much of a delay do I want between each frame. I have all of them selected. So if I do no delay, which is where it was at, and I press play, that's where I could see it go smooth. So if I hold shift, select on all of them, and I do 0.5 seconds. Now if I press play, each frame is going to last half a second, so you could see how that affects how slow it goes. Also, if I, let's say, select all of these, hold shift, now I do a drop down on any of them, I do no delay, and one in the middle, I could change it to 5 seconds. Now if I press play, actually, no delay on all of them, click away, and then on this frame, let's say on frame 5, I want to do 5 seconds, so now all of them say 0 except for that one. Now click on the first one. Now if I press play, it's going to have no delay up until the middle one. It's going to be there for 5 seconds and then it's going to continue. So keep that in mind as you do your animation. I'm going to do this very simple one. I'm going to do no delay. And if once I'm happy with this, I could always go and save it. So I could go File, Export, Save for Web, Legacy. And right here under my presets, I'm going to change this to GIF 128 dithered. And I want to leave colors at 128. I want to change diffusion. Diffusion could stay. Right here, instead of selective, I could change it to adaptive. And I could always change the size if I wanted to, but I want to keep it at 300 by 250. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I'm going to go ahead and save it within my digital assets as well, just to keep organized. So I'm going to go to links. I'm going to go actually to my JPEG folder. And I'm going to just make sure it's a 300 by 250 GIF. We already have our JPEG, so it's going to be based off of that. It's going to be our GIF. And I'm going to go ahead and save it. And right now it just repeats over and over, but I could always go back and save it in a different mode, so different settings. But let me go back into my digital assets, my links, my JPEGs, and a GIF opens up better when you open it up in a browser. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a web browser. Let me open up a blank page here, and I could just click and drag it onto this window, and I could see it replaying over and over. And if you're going to be in the web class, you could also add this one to the to one of your pages, and you could see it, working like this. Another thing we could do is let's save it in a different way. So let's go down here, and how many times do we want it to replay? So let's say just once instead of forever. And let's go ahead and export it. So let's go to Command or Control, Shift, Option or Alt and S to save it again. And let's go ahead and save it, save over it. So I'm going to replace it, save and replace. Click on Replace. So now technically, if we open it in a web browser, so you can just click and drag it to the browser. And it just goes once, and that is it. Whereas the other one, I mean, it's still working, but it's technically no longer linked. This is the correct one. So again, if I just drop it in here, it's just going to play once, and that is it. It's not going to repeat over and over. I guess the preview here is showing that, but it only went once, and that was just based off of that one change. And we could always do different things, so let me go ahead and delete all of these frames. Let me actually go to my history panel, and I'm gonna go up to where we originally saved it. Let's see, not back to where we opened this file from, but right where we saved it, but before we opened up our timeline and created a frame. So I'm going to go up to this point, so move, save, and I'm going to start fresh from here, because that what I wanted to do was have my plane in the position where it originally was. So now I could also do something else. So I'm going to click on create a frame animation. So this is going to be my first frame. Now, one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my layers panel. I'm going to click on my title. Actually, I'm going to create a group out of my title. So select this top layer that affects it. Hold Shift, click on the title, and I'm going to make a group out of it. And I'm going to name it title. Press return. Now I'm going to change the opacity to 0%. And I have that frame. Now I'm going to create a new frame. And on this one, I'm going to change the opacity to 100%. So now I'm going to hold Shift and select both of these. Now I'm going to do a tween. And again, maybe this one I want to do 15 frames in the middle. Go ahead and click OK. And then I'm going to hold Shift and select all of these and make sure that I have no delay. And I'm going to change this to only once. And I'm going to go ahead and click play. And that's my simple animation. So it goes from empty to, or from blank to full strength within those 15 frames. So let's say I actually want to add more time in the beginning where it's blank. So I could actually select this first one and maybe give it 2 seconds. And now let me press play. And there we go. So let's say I'm happy with that. Again, I could always go to File, Export, Save for Web. I'm going to save this. I'm going to keep all those settings the same. So GIF, adaptive, colors 128, dithers 88%, diffusion, and go ahead and save it. I'm going to rename this one. I should have renamed the other one plain. And then this one I'm going to add a hyphen and I'm going to name it title. So I'm going to save that. And I'm going to go and open up my title GIF, and I'm going to drop that into a browser. So let's see if I still have my page here. Yeah. So I could drag this one and it's going to play. So it's going to take a couple seconds and then the title pops up, and that's a simple animation. So there's a couple simple animations that you could do. So, you know, you could think of a sky moving. I had the plane, so the plane moving. This guy could come down, something could appear. You could have something go up and down, you know, depending on different frames where you put something. You know, you could have something getting bigger. So you could have a frame where the title is smaller and then it starts becoming big. So it's up to you, but this is just a simple animation. And that's pretty much it for this part of the project. So once you are done, go ahead and turn in your IMDb video wall, the JPEG, and also go ahead and turn in your GIF. So whichever one you decide to do, feel free to play around with it and, you know, create something cool off of this 300 by 250. And that is it for this part of the project. So thank you once again, and we'll see you on the last part of this campaign project.